She asked for work. The cowboy said, "I need a wife more than a cook." Part 1. A stranger at sundown. The sun was slowly setting behind the wide, open land. The sky was painted in soft orange and pink colors. Daniel Hayes stood near the wooden fence of his ranch, looking far across the fields. The wind moved gently through the grass, and everything felt quiet. Too quiet. Daniel had lived alone on this ranch for many years. After his father passed away, the place became silent. No laughter, no voices, just the sound of wind and animals. He worked hard every day, taking care of his cattle and land, but deep inside, he often felt lonely. That evening felt no different at first, but then something caught his eye. Far down the dusty road, he saw a figure walking slowly toward the ranch. At first, he thought it might be a traveler passing by, but as the figure came closer, he realized it was a woman. She walked with tired steps, but there was strength in the way she held herself. Her dress was simple and worn, and her boots were covered in dust. Her hair was slightly messy from the long journey, but her face showed courage. Daniel straightened up and watched her carefully. It was not common for strangers to come this way. The woman finally reached the gate and stopped. She looked at Daniel for a moment, as if trying to understand what kind of man he was. "I heard you might need help," she said. Her voice was calm, but a little tired. "I can cook, clean, or do any work you have." Daniel did not answer right away. He studied her face. She did not look weak. She did not look afraid. But she did look like someone who had been through a lot. "I don't need a cook," Daniel said simply. The woman's expression changed just a little. It was not anger, but disappointment. Still, she did not turn away. "I can do other work too," she added quickly. "I learn fast." Daniel looked at the empty land around him. The ranch was big, but he had managed it alone for years. Work was not really the problem. The problem was something else. After a short pause, he spoke again. "What I need," he said slowly, "is a wife." The words came out more directly than he expected. The woman blinked in surprise. For a second, she thought she had heard wrong. "A wife?" she repeated. Daniel nodded slightly, not smiling, not joking. There was a moment of silence between them. "What kind of man says that to someone he just met?" she asked, raising one eyebrow. Daniel leaned lightly against the fence again. "The kind who's been alone for too long," he replied. The woman crossed her arms, thinking. She did not seem offended, just confused. "That doesn't sound like a job," she said. "It isn't," Daniel answered. "Not in the usual way." She looked around the ranch, the house, the barn, the open fields. Everything was quiet, but it also felt honest. "What's your name?" she asked. "Daniel Hayes," he said. "And you?" "Clara Bennett." Daniel nodded. "Nice to meet you, Clara." Clara gave a small nod in return, still unsure what to think. "I'm not asking for an answer right now," Daniel added. "You can stay here for a few days if you want. Work if you like. Leave whenever you choose." Clara was surprised again. Most people she had met in her life wanted something quickly. They made promises or demands. But Daniel did neither. He simply gave her a choice. "Why would you trust a stranger like that?" she asked. Daniel looked out at the land again. "Because sometimes strangers are more honest than people you already know." Clara thought about his words. She had been traveling for days. She had no clear place to go. And now she stood in front of a man who spoke simply, without lies or pressure. It felt strange, but also safe. "All right," she said after a moment. "I'll stay, for a few days." Daniel nodded, as if that was enough. "You can use the room inside," he said, pointing toward the house. "It's clean. Well, mostly." Clara gave a small smile for the first time. "I'll fix that," she said. As she walked toward the house, Daniel watched her quietly. Something about her presence already felt different. The ranch did not seem as empty as before. And Clara, stepping inside that quiet house, felt something she had not felt in a long time. A small sense of hope. But neither of them knew yet that this simple meeting would change both of their lives. Part 2. Terms of an Unusual Offer. The next morning, the ranch felt different. Sunlight entered through the windows, filling the small house with warmth. Clara woke up early, as she always did. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then she looked around and remembered the quiet ranch, the strange offer, and the man named Daniel. She slowly got out of bed and walked outside. Daniel was already awake, working near the barn. He moved calmly, feeding the animals and checking the fences. He did not seem surprised to see her. "You wake up early," he said. Clara gave a small nod. "I'm used to it." There was a short silence, but it did not feel uncomfortable. "I can help," she added. Daniel looked at her for a moment, then nodded. "All right." That was how it began. Clara spent the day working beside him. She helped clean the barn, carried water, and even tried to guide the cattle. She made mistakes, but she laughed at them. Daniel noticed that. She did not complain. She did not give up. By afternoon, both of them were tired, but something had changed. The ranch no longer felt silent. That evening, Clara went into the kitchen and started cooking without asking. The smell of food slowly filled the house. Daniel stood near the door for a moment, watching her. "You didn't have to do that," he said. "I know," Clara replied, "but I wanted to." Daniel did not argue. They sat down together for dinner. It was a simple meal, but it tasted better than anything Daniel had eaten in a long time. "This is good," he said honestly. Clara smiled a little. "Thank you." For a while they ate in silence, but this time the silence felt peaceful, not empty. After dinner, Daniel placed his cup on the table and looked at her. "About what I said yesterday," he began. Clara looked up. "I was wondering when you'd bring that up again." Daniel took a deep breath. "I meant it, but I don't expect anything from you." Clara listened carefully. "I'm not asking you to decide now," he continued. "I just thought it was better to be honest." Clara leaned back in her chair, thinking. "You don't even know me," she said. "That's true," Daniel replied. "But I know what kind of life I want." "And that life includes a stranger?" she asked. "Not forever," he said calmly. "Only until she's not a stranger anymore." Clara looked at him closely. His face showed no sign of joking. He was serious, but not in a way that felt heavy. "Why me?" she asked. Daniel thought for a moment before answering. "Because you didn't walk away," he said. "Most people would have." Clara did not respond right away. She remembered all the places she had been, all the people she had met. Many of them had been unkind or careless. But Daniel was different. He spoke less, but his words felt real. "What if I leave in a few days?" she asked. "Then you leave," Daniel said simply. "No questions." "And if I stay?" "Then we see what happens." Clara looked down at her hands. She was not used to having choices like this. Her life had always been about survival, moving from place to place, taking whatever work she could find. But this was different. This was not just about work. It was about building something. "I'll stay," she said quietly. "For now." Daniel nodded. He did not smile, but there was a calm look in his eyes. "That's enough," he said. The days that followed were simple but meaningful. Clara worked hard every day. She cleaned the house, cooked meals, and slowly learned how to help on the ranch. Daniel showed her what to do, always patient, never angry. Little by little, they began to talk more. Not about big things, but small ones. The weather, the animals, the way the sky looked at sunset, and sometimes about their past. Clara did not share everything, but she shared enough. Daniel listened without interrupting. He did not try to fix her problems. He simply listened. That made her trust him more. One evening, as they sat outside watching the stars, Clara spoke softly. "This place feels different," she said. Daniel looked at her. "Different how?" "Quiet," she said, "but not lonely." Daniel did not answer right away, because for the first time in many years, he felt the same way. Clara looked up at the sky, her thoughts deep and uncertain. She had come there for work, but now she was not sure what she was staying for. And somewhere in her heart, a small question began to grow. Was this just a temporary stop, or the beginning of something she never expected? Part 3. The Space Between Two Hearts. The days slowly turned into weeks, and life on the ranch began to follow a gentle rhythm. Every morning, Clara woke up early and stepped outside to feel the cool air. The wide land stretched endlessly, and the rising sun painted the sky in soft colors. It was peaceful in a way she had never known before. Daniel was always nearby, already working. At first, they spoke only when needed, but now their conversations came more naturally. They shared small moments, quiet smiles, simple jokes, and long looks that said more than words. Clara had changed the house completely. The once quiet and empty place now felt warm and alive. The windows were clean, the kitchen was always ready, and there was always the smell of fresh food in the air. Daniel noticed every little detail, though he did not always say it. One afternoon, Clara was fixing a broken chair outside the house. Daniel watched her from a distance. "You don't have to do that," he said as he walked closer. Clara looked up and smiled slightly. "I know, but I like fixing things." Daniel crossed his arms. "You fixed more than just chairs around here." Clara paused, understanding what he meant. The ranch was no longer just a place to work. It had become something more. That evening, they sat on the porch as usual. The sun was setting slowly, and the sky looked calm and endless. Clara broke the silence. "You still haven't said anything again," she said. Daniel looked at her. "About what?" "You know what," she replied. He did know, but he had chosen to stay quiet. "I didn't want to push you," he said honestly. "It's your choice." Clara looked down for a moment. "And what if I don't know what my choice is?" Daniel leaned forward slightly. "Then take your time." Clara sighed softly. For the first time, she looked unsure. "I didn't plan to stay this long," she admitted. "I thought I would leave after a few days." Daniel nodded. "I figured." "But now," she paused. "Now what?" he asked gently. Clara looked at the horizon, her eyes thoughtful. "Now it feels like I belong here," she said quietly. Daniel did not interrupt. Those words meant more than anything else. "But that's what scares me," she added. Daniel frowned slightly. "Why?" "Because I've never stayed anywhere," Clara said. "Every time I start to feel comfortable, something changes." Daniel understood. He had spent years alone, but she had spent years moving. Both had known loneliness, just in different ways. "Nothing has to change," Daniel said calmly. Clara gave a small, unsure smile. "Everything changes eventually." There was a long silence. The wind moved gently around them, carrying the quiet of the evening. Daniel looked at her carefully. "You're not trapped here," he said. "You can leave any time." Clara nodded. "I know." "And I won't stop you," he added. "I know that too," she said. That was the problem. Daniel never tried to control her. He never made promises he couldn't keep. He simply gave her space. And somehow, that made things harder. Because now, whatever she chose would be truly her decision. The next few days felt different. Not bad, but heavier. Clara became quieter. She still worked, still smiled sometimes, but her thoughts seemed far away. Daniel noticed, but did not ask too many questions. He trusted her to speak when she was ready. One morning, Clara stood near the fence, looking out at the long road. Daniel walked up beside her. "Thinking about leaving?" he asked. Clara did not look at him right away. "Maybe," she said. Daniel nodded slowly. "All right." That was all he said. No questions, no arguments. Clara finally turned to him, a little surprised. "That's it?" she asked. "What else should I say?" Daniel replied. Clara looked at him, searching for something in his expression. "You don't want me to stay?" she asked. Daniel met her eyes. "I do," he said simply, "but I don't want you to stay for the wrong reason." Clara felt something shift inside her. "And what is the right reason?" she asked. Daniel thought for a moment. "Because you want to," he said, "not because you feel like you have to." Clara looked down, her heart filled with mixed emotions. She had spent so long surviving that she forgot what it felt like to truly choose something. And now she was standing at a moment that could change her life. That evening she packed a small bag. Not much, just a few things she owned. Daniel saw it but said nothing. The air between them felt quiet again, but not the same as before. This silence was filled with questions. As night fell, Clara sat alone, thinking deeply. Was she running away again? Or was she protecting herself? She did not have the answer yet. But one thing was clear. Morning would bring a decision she could not avoid, and whatever she chose, it would change everything. Part 4. A Choice at Sunrise. The night passed slowly. Clara did not sleep much. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about everything that had happened since the day she arrived. The quiet ranch, the kind but distant man, and the strange feeling that had slowly grown inside her heart. For the first time in her life, she was not running because she had to. She was thinking about leaving, even though she didn't want to. Before sunrise, Clara got up quietly. She picked up her small bag and stepped outside. The air was cool, and the sky was still dark, with only a soft light beginning to appear far away. She walked slowly toward the edge of the ranch, where the long road began. That road had always meant one thing for her: moving forward, never staying, never looking back. But today felt different. She stopped and looked down the empty path. "Is this really what I want?" she whispered to herself. Behind her, the ranch stood quiet and still. A place that once meant nothing to her now felt like something she could not easily leave. At that moment, she heard footsteps. Daniel. He walked toward her, calm as always. He had likely seen her from the house, but he did not rush. "Leaving?" he asked softly. Clara nodded, but her voice did not come out right away. "Yes, I think so." Daniel stood beside her, looking at the same road. There was no anger in his face, no sadness that he showed, just quiet understanding. "You don't have to explain," he said. Clara turned to him, surprised again. "You always say that," she said. Daniel gave a small nod. "Because it's true." Clara held her bag tightly. "That's what makes this hard," she admitted. Daniel looked at her. "Hard?" "You don't stop me," she said. "You don't ask me to stay." Daniel took a deep breath. "I want you to stay," he said honestly, "but I don't want to hold you here." Clara's eyes softened. "And what if I want you to?" she asked quietly. That question changed everything. Daniel looked at her carefully, as if trying to understand what she really meant. "You've spent your life moving," he said. "You should stay somewhere because you choose it, not because someone asks you to." Clara looked down. He was right, and that was exactly why she felt so confused. "I don't know how to choose," she said softly. "I've never had that before." Daniel stepped a little closer, but still gave her space. "Then don't rush," he said. "Take a moment. Think about what you feel, not what you fear." Clara closed her eyes for a second. She thought about the long road behind her, the places she had been, the people she had left, the life she had lived. Then she thought about the ranch, the quiet mornings, the simple meals, the way Daniel spoke, honest, calm, never forcing anything, and the way she felt. Safe. Her grip on the bag slowly loosened. She opened her eyes and looked at the road one last time. Then, slowly, she placed the bag on the ground. Daniel noticed but said nothing. Clara turned toward him. "I've spent my whole life leaving," she said. "Maybe it's time I learn how to stay." Daniel's expression changed slightly, just enough to show hope. "You're sure?" he asked. Clara nodded. "Yes," she said, "but not because I need a place, and not because you asked me to." She took a small step closer. "I'm staying because I want this," she continued. "This life, this place." She looked directly into his eyes. "And maybe you." Daniel did not speak right away. For a man who had lived in silence for so long, words did not come easily. But this time, he did not need many. "I was hoping you'd say that," he said quietly. Clara smiled, a real warm smile that reached her eyes. The sun began to rise behind them, filling the sky with soft golden light. It felt like a new beginning. Not something forced, not something rushed, but something chosen. Together, they walked back toward the house. The ranch no longer felt empty. It felt alive. Days later, life continued, but it was no longer the same as before. There was laughter now. There were shared moments, small talks, and quiet understanding. Daniel still worked the land. Clara still helped. But now they worked side by side, not as strangers, not as employer and worker, but as two people building something real. And for the first time in both of their lives, they were not alone. The long road was still there, but neither of them needed to follow it anymore.